Hello and welcome to Giant Mess, a super sloppy sports and entertainment podcast that's hosted by Giant Mess. That's me, the real cinch Neal Lynch. I'm a former fourth-string college quarterback and mediocre middle relief pitcher who earned himself a film and media studies degree. And now I'm putting that degree to the test. As a single dad who loves to talk Giants football, Mets baseball, movies, TV, and I like to mix in some funny stories and anecdotes here and there for comedic effect. On today's episode, we're going to be talking about the New York Football Giants losing to the Washington Commanders 21-6 in the season opener of the 2025 NFL campaign. And we'll do a preview of the upcoming matchup against the Dallas Cowboys in the Big D. So without further ado, let's get started up in Giants projected to have 5.5 wins. When I initially saw that line, I was like, dude, we can get 6 wins. I know we have the NFL's toughest schedule, but we can get 6 wins. We can squeeze out 6 wins. And then after seeing week 1, it's like, yeah, I don't see us getting 6 wins. This season is probably the least excited I've been about a Giants season in a long, long time. I'm trying to think of the last time that I was this disenfranchised about the team and the program and the direction that we're taking. It's just because it just feels like rinse and repeat. Like we've been here at this position for the past how many years, where it's like, and this is why I put out that video about training camp meaning nothing and preseason meaning nothing. You know, the fact that we can go out and have the kind of preseason we did, where it's like we're putting up 30 plus points per game and we're holding our opponents to under blah, blah, blah member points, and everyone's raving about Marcus Bowe and raving about Evan Neal and raving about this person and that person, this person, this person, some guy who's not going to make the team or ends up on the practice squad or ends up seeing like maybe a dozen snaps on special teams during the regular season. I paid zero attention to all that shit because I paid attention to it in the past, thinking it actually meant something, and it never actually did. And so this year I was like, you know what? I'm taking off. Enjoy all that, being in that bubble and believing all that bullshit. I'm going to go enjoy my life because I know if I invest in that emotionally, and then when we come out and get our shit kicked in week 1, I'm going to be pissed. And so it's like I just decided I'm going to opt out. You guys have fun. I'm going to opt out, and I'll catch you back on the flip in week 1. And sure enough, it's like, and that's why when we did come out of week 1 with the loss that we had, it's like, no, this is exactly what I expected. And here we are again. But so the key question: can left tackle Andrew Thomas stay healthy? The answer is no. The answer is no. And, I've put out a video about this, did decent views on YouTube, but, this is the reason why Joe Shane should be let go. It's the reason that David Gettleman was unofficially terminated. It's because these general managers and these coaches cannot figure out the offensive line. We'll dive into it in a little bit. I mean, Carmen Brasillo was a bright spot in his first New York season, I guess. Any improvement he gets from this line is largely irrelevant if Thomas sits, and that's a fact. I mean, Thomas didn't play in the week 1 game against the Commanders, and we were atrocious. Giants are 3-15 in their last 18 games he's missed. His last healthy season was in 2022, and the Giants were a surprise playoff team. So when your entire offense hinges on one player, and that one player is the left tackle, that's a reflection of the general manager not making the right choices. It's a reflection of the coaching staff not being able to develop any kind of talent outside of your left tackle, and that's why you need to move on. Position to watch is quarterback. Wilson's leadership is already turning heads. Okay. This new look room offers the highest floor they've had since Eli Manning retired, and I was floating this past some people in conversation here and there, saying like, I think this is the best Giants quarterback room we've had since, I don't know, is it 2019 when we had Eli and Daniel Jones? Is it in the mid to late 80s and early 90s when we had Jeff Hostetler and Phil Simms? Is there another, is it the year we had Eli Manning and Kurt Warner? But again, when you have two starting quarterbacks, you have no starting quarterbacks. I butchered that expression. It's something along those lines. But when we did have Jeff Hostetler and Phil Simms and doing a quarterback battle and battling it out, we didn't make the playoffs in 91 and 92. When we had Kurt Warner and Eli Manning, we went 6-10. When it's just like, I guess Eli Manning, David Carr in 2008, that was probably one of the better quarterback rooms we've ever had. But that being said, quarterbacks can only do so much, dude. And you really honestly have to have someone like a Joe Burrow or a Patrick Mahomes to overcome a poor offensive line, and even they can't do it. You think about the 2020 Super Bowl, the COVID Bowl, between the Buccaneers and the Chiefs. Chiefs were decimated along the offensive line, and Mahomes couldn't do jack shit. Burrow took something like 9 sacks in that one run in the AFC in 2021 or 2022, and that's ultimately what ended them in the Super Bowl. So it's like you still need somewhat of a capable offensive line, and we haven't had one in ages, dude. Ages. Breakout coach, offensive coordinator Mike Kafka. He's the only coach in the list of breakout players across all 32 teams. Fast rising Kafka, recruited by Andy Reid in 2017, finalist for the Saints head coaching job, expected to reclaim play calling duties. And I don't know, so far, pretty shitty after week one. Better than 2024? Yes, on paper, the team is much improved. I mean, how many times have we said that year after year after year? We say, oh, it's improved, it's improved, it's improved. Defensive line is the league's most talented. Secondary is better after signing cornerback Paulson Adebo, and safety Javon Holland. Quarterback situation can't be worse. Oh, words to live by and also die by. League's toughest schedule. Opponents' winning percentage and projected win totals make 6 wins a positive outcome here. And, I mentioned the preseason, we scored 30-plus points in each of our 3 games. It's the first time in franchise history we've scored at least 30 points in 3 consecutive games. And it came during the preseason. Meanwhile, the Bengals, I just watched season 2 of Quarterback on Netflix, and the Bengals were doing that like every game last season and still lost. So I don't know. Every team's got their flaws and their shortcomings, but honestly, I'd rather be in the Bengals position where it's like we're putting up massive points and still losing than have to watch this dredge, this sludge that Big Blue calls an offensive unit. So let's get into the Giants-Commanders recap. Sunday, September 7th, 2025, 1 o'clock start at Northwest Stadium. Kevin Burkhardt and Tom Brady were on the call, which I thought was interesting. I thought that they were the A unit for Fox in terms of the NFL. Weird that they would do a 1 o'clock game. I thought they would always do America's Game of the Week, but maybe they didn't have an America's Game of the Week because for whatever reason, the Lions-Packers game was on CBS, which is unusual. So it took me a while to realize, wait, is Tom Brady on the call? This is weird. So then I started to think, whoa, is Tom Brady no longer the A team for Fox and he's been, demoted? Because why in the world would you ever decide to put your A team on Giants versus Commanders in week 1? There's so many other better games that are out there, but I guess, in looking at the schedule, were there? Because you had Chiefs Chargers Friday night, Eagles Cowboys Thursdays. Those are 2 great games. Lions Packers was on CBS. Looking around, it's like, what other NFC games could they have done that would have felt big and been worthy of their A unit? And I guess there weren't any, so very surprising. And I kind of felt bad for Brady and Burkhardt. I'm like, you guys, buckle up because it's going to be real ugly. So yeah, we lose 21-6. Commanders got 3 touchdowns. We got 2 field goals, and that's pretty much the story of the New York Giants for a dozen years now. We get field goals, the other team gets touchdowns. That's basically it. I know that we did pull within one score at the end of the third quarter, and like Burkhardt and Brady were not going nuts, but you could see that they were just excited that it's close because it didn't feel close at really any point in the game. It just didn't feel close, especially after that first drive where we're getting like first and goal and can't punch it in, and Dable opts for a field goal. You're like, we are just the same offense that we have been for so long, and nothing has changed. And as soon as I saw that happen, I was like, yep, we're not winning this game. Well, as soon as I saw that Andrew Thomas was inactive, that was shocking. I was like, who the fuck is 55? Hudson? What is Hudson doing? Is someone hurt? And then, of course, sure enough, it's Andrew Thomas is inactive. And I'm just like, well, loss. Automatic loss. Like, 3-15 in 18 games where he's not healthy. I was just like, yep, this is a loss. I mean, we lose 21-18 to them last year when he was in the lineup. He's not in the lineup. I mean, you want to talk about a baseball stat, wins above replacement or whatever. Andrew Thomas must have like an 11 WAR per season, because like it doesn't matter who we put in at left tackle to fill the gap or the hole. Giggity. We're just going to suck because we just can't protect the quarterback and we can't run the ball. We just can't do anything. So Commanders go up 7-0 in about halfway through the first quarter on the 7-yard touchdown pass from Jaden Daniels to Zach Ertz on a slant pattern. This one you could see coming from a mile away because Micah McFadden goes down with an injury, had to be carted off, and it's like the Commanders are going to go, our linebacker depth, inside linebacker depth is so thin that it's like, of course that they're going to go after and attack whoever replaces him. And Darius Masau, second-year guy at UCLA, comes in and they immediately target him, and Ertz scores. So I was like, yeah, I mean, that's nothing surprising about that. What I thought might happen this year, which maybe it will at some point, and maybe they kind of turn to this after seeing how inefficient or not incompetent, but just how ineffective Masau is. Abdul Carter has off-ball experience in college. I don't think he played a ton of it in his last year, but in his first 2 years, I think he was an off-ball linebacker. So I was like, fuck it, dude. Abdul Carter, off-ball linebacker, hasn't played off-ball in a year, is probably going to give you better reps than Darius Masau, whatever the fuck his name is. I don't care that I'm mispronouncing it. Do better, and I'll try better to pronounce it. So, yeah, I mean, you knew that the Commanders were going to go after that. Got the Graham Gano field goal to make it 7-3. Again, that was the moment where I was like, we're not winning this game. The fact that you had four cracks at it, couldn't get in, got another 3 opportunities because of a penalty. It was extended, and then fourth and goal comes along again, and it's 30 other teams in the league could probably score if you put them inside the 5 with fourth and goal. And Dable's like, nope, we need to get points on the board. And, there's a couple ways you can look at that. You can say, all right, that means that he has a lot of confidence in the defense, and he feels like the defense has improved enough to the point where they can keep them in the game and they can win via field goals. Spoiler alert, you can't. So I think you have an opportunity to score a touchdown, you go for it. It doesn't matter how bad your offense is. Just there has to be a shift in mindset this year. It's like you can't coach like this team is a playoff team. You have to coach like for your job, dude, because you are. Commanders come right back in the second quarter, and they score on a 6-yard touchdown run by Ja'Cory Crosby-Merritt to make it 14-3. And then, I mean, they should have scored at the end of the first half. They just really butchered the execution on that. But I feel like 9 times out of 10, they usually at least get a field goal out of that and go up 7-3 or 17-3. Like I said, I think the broadcast booth was trying to get people more engaged and to prevent people from turning off the channel by saying like, "Oh, it's a one-score game. It's a one-score game" at the end of the third quarter. But it never felt that close. It never felt like we had a little bit, maybe you could say we had a little bit of momentum when we were down the one score. I mean, Dable's pumping his fist like after that 55-yard field goal by Gano in the third, Dable's pumping his fist, and I'm thinking to myself, man, you're acting like we just won the game, dude. We're down by 8. We can't score a touchdown. Like, what the fuck? So there was a little bit of a momentum shift there, but then it was immediately squashed. So, and then you had that Deebo Samuel 19-yard rush halfway through the fourth to make it 21-6, and it was pretty much out of reach there. I mean, I guess you could say, they were down 15 with 7 minutes left to play, and I knew it, and everyone was acting like it was over, and I was like, rightfully so, because, I think there are some teams in this league that could drive down, score a touchdown, kick the extra point, make a stop, and then go down, drive, score touchdowns, and scoring the 2-point conversion to tie it up and send it to overtime. The Giants are not one of those teams. The Giants have not been one of those teams for a very long time. You know what kind of team can do that? Josh Allen and the motherfucking Buffalo Bills. They were down 40-25 with a little over 7 minutes left to go, and Bills fans were leaving the stadium. It hurts my brain to think that the Bills Mafia, quote unquote, would do that. It's literally your season opener, your home opener. Expectations are still so very high for this team because you have Josh Allen, plain and simple. The guy is Superman. He can do it all. And so that you would think that a Bills fan would understand the game is not out of hand. The game is never losable because we have Josh Allen. He had 7+ minutes. And I'm thinking to myself, I was shocked. I had to take to X and I had to post about it because good God, dude. I could understand if you're a Giants fan and you're watching the Giants down 15 with 7 minutes to play. I basically said that this game, that the Giants Commanders game was over. I was like, there's no way we're scoring 2 touchdowns and 2 drives to tie this up. There's no way. And they proved me right. But like, as a Giants fan, watching Bills Ravens and seeing them down by 15 with 7 minutes left and see Bills fans leaving, I was like, are you fucking kidding me? You guys have Josh Allen. I was like, I have no doubt in my mind that he's going to come back and tie this thing up. And sure enough, he didn't just come back and tie it. He fucking won it. The Giants don't have that. And, maybe you can, I know there's people out there like, well, maybe Jackson Dart could do it. And it's just like, no, not with this offensive line, not with this head coach, not with this play caller, not with this team, this organization, this franchise. It's just, we don't have that behavior, that attitude, the disposition to do that. Josh Allen truly believes, and it's to the point of delusion, and it's working like a charm. Washington had 25 first downs to our 17. They rushed for over 220 goddamn yards on 32 carries. I don't think that Jaden Daniels had like this crazy outstanding game, but he still played better than average, fairly well. 19 of 30 for 233 and a touch. He was sacked 3 times. We did have, as porous and as bad as the offensive line was for us, we only gave up 2 sacks. But that doesn't tell the whole story. Obviously, there were a ton of pressures, and Russell Wilson was able to escape those pressures. And even when there wasn't pressure, Russell decided to pull the ball down and try and run, and wasn't keeping his head up and looking downfield, which you would think a 14-year veteran in his 200th goddamn start would still recognize and realize that he has to keep his head up and head on a swivel and look downfield and see if anyone's open. But no. So Commanders had 432 total yards to our 231. 0 turnovers from either team. Washington had 12 penalties for 89 yards and still won the game. They were 4 for 11 on third down. We were 4 for 16. We were 1 of 2 on fourth downs. and we won the time of possession, but that's because for us to move the ball, we have to do it 4 yards at a time. We can't. This whole this was the whole spiel. The whole argument for Russell Wilson was that we're going to have big chunk plays. We're going to have big explosive plays. He's going to let it rip. He's going to fire the ball downfield. He's going to do this. He's going to do that. And granted, there were 2 instances where Wilson throws it, mid-level to deep to Neighbors on the right-hand side, and Neighbors couldn't come up with the ball. So if Neighbors comes up with the ball on one of those plays, it's a touchdown. If he comes up with the ball on the other play, it's a first down. It's just we played like shit across the board. We started 0-1 for the 3rd consecutive season. This one was like the least surprising of all of them. I think the whole 100th anniversary of the New York Giants kind of took over our headspace in 2024. It's like, well, we got to have a good season. We got to get off to a hot start. We're wearing these fucking ridiculous uniforms. It's our 100th season. We can't come out and not show out. And then we did. 2023 was the most frustrating and angering by a long shot. This one was just like, all right. Yep. Nothing's changed. Pat Leonard from the Daily News, he said that the Giants have lost their last 3 season openers by a combined score of 89-12. To me, I look at that stat and I say, what the fuck were you guys doing in the offseason, at OTAs, at mandatory this and training camp that, and what the hell were you doing? And Dable has been quoted as saying, we looked good, we look good, we look good, we look good. So, if you come out and say, we look good, and then you come out and get your fucking doors blown off in 3 consecutive season openers, then you don't know how to evaluate your talent, and you don't know what good football looks like, in my opinion. If that's the case, it would be one thing if we come out and we're losing, and we're just losing on a last-second field goal, or we're losing on the last drive, or we come up short on the last drive, or something like that. No, we're not competitive. Across the board in these 3 season openers, we have not been competitive. Evan Neal was a healthy scratch. I mean, so that's, you can officially write him off. I don't think he's going to make a difference this year. Thomas Fidone, your 7th round draft pick, who looked good in the preseason, is a healthy scratch. Defensive lineman, your 3rd round draft pick, Darius Alexander, was a healthy scratch. Holy shit. Jameis Winston's your emergency 3rd quarterback, which I think that says a lot about Jackson Dart and, what he was able to do in the preseason. He did look really good in the preseason. But again, it's the fucking preseason. As soon as I found out that Andrew Thomas was inactive, I was like, this is a loss. We're just not going to win this game. 3 and out to start the season. I mean, you want to talk about taking whatever remaining wind out of our sails. To the Giants fans that got super excited and hyped for this season and thought things were going to be different, I feel for you. Because I've been there. I wasn't there this year. I have such low expectations for this team. It's 8 wins is so many things have to go sideways for a lot of other teams for us to get 8 wins. And I thought, all right, I started to, hey, listen, I'm human just like you. I started to buy into a little bit, just a skosh, a little bit, that the offense was going to open up more and we were going to throw deep more and throw more mid crossers and deep patterns and get a little more creative and on offense. And now you have Scatterbo to complement Tracy, and you have, Slayton's got his new contract, and so that means that he's going to step it up. And no, dude. And to go 3 and out and not even take off 90 seconds off the clock in that 3 and out is just, perfection. Perfectly encapsulates how the Giants have tricked and bamboozled its fan base for so many years, and how the New York media has somehow been duped over and over by going to training camp and reporting day to day. And I feel like they've been tricked as well. Like they're saying things and seeing things at training camp, and they're going, "Oh, look out for this, and what about this, and blah blah blah." Da, 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 da. And then you get to week 1, it's like, no, none of that, none of what you said, none of what you reported, none of what you announced or released or said applies. It's just nope. And then this is the real kick in the dick. And this next drive that we had further cements and solidifies the idea that nothing has changed and we are right back where we were in 2024 and in 2023. 16 plays, took 8 minutes off the clock, 76 yards, and we kick a fucking field goal. And I'm telling you this, if we had scored a touchdown on that drive, the game's completely different. The season's completely different. The outlook is completely different. But we kicked a field goal. And to me, that was a chance for Dable to say, no, we're not going to be 2023, and we're not going to be 2024, and we're not going to kick a field goal. We are going to fucking score a touchdown. And nope, he's like, oh, we just need to get points on the board. And you could say, oh, well, he has this much improved defense. And that's why he just wanted points, because he knows it's going to be a close game and the defense will keep it in. It's like, no. You want to change the personality of this team. You want to change how the players are viewing themselves and the team as a whole. You want to change how the fan base looks at this team. You go for it on 4th down, and if you don't make it, you don't make it. And I honestly do not think any fan is going to kill you for that. I don't think so. Given previous history, the past 2 seasons, given what happened in 2022, when 2022 Brian Dable probably would have gone for it on 4th down. That just shows you how much of, someone says that Brian Dable has turtled. And I thought that was such a great word to use. He is turtled. He is not this guy that has confidence in himself and his players anymore. He's just not. And that drive is the quintessential example, an exhibit of why he doesn't belong as Giants head coach, but I know they're not going to get rid of him. And the only way that I can see them getting rid of Brian Dable is if Jackson Dart comes in and looks like ass. Just garbage. And Dable does worse things to Dart and makes him somehow worse within half a season than he was looking in the preseason. So for all you Dable supporters and Shane supporters, bravo, congratulations. You guys have done it. You guys have hoodwinked John Mara into believing that you deserve 2 more seasons, because so say Dart comes in week 8, week 9, right? Which even at this point feels late. I know a lot of, my friend was like, what? Week 8 or week 9? The season's over. And I'm like, dude, the season's already over. No one has we're projected to have 5.5 wins as it is. And then given that performance against the Commanders, now granted, the Commanders, NFC Championship last year, probably going back to the playoffs this year, a very good team. I'm not saying some people are saying week 5, because you look at the start of the season, it's just fucking loss. We're 0-1. We're going to Dallas. That's probably 0-2. We're hosting the Chiefs and Chargers. That's probably 0-3 and 0-4. It's like, would I be like on the floor if we somehow upset the Chiefs or the Chargers? Yeah, I guess I would. So you're looking at 0-4, and then you're going to the Saints. And so people are like, oh, that's the time that you put in Dart, and you can get him that first win, and then maybe he kickstarts the team, blah, blah, blah. So you go 6-11 with Jackson Dart. I guess you give Dable and Shane another year. Say you win 3 games, 4 games. Say you have 4 wins, 5 wins. You still and Dart is like, okay. You still stick with, you know what I'm saying? So like, I don't know what it would take at this point to fire Dable and Shane, because either way you're going to have an uproar. Well, you finally gave him his guy, and then you're not going to give him a chance. You gave Daniel Jones such a long leash, and then you're not going to give them a long leash with Jackson Dart, their guy. So it's almost like a foregone conclusion that they're not going to get canned this year unless Dable and Shane do something highly irrational, stupid, or reckless. It's like, and I think they know that, and so they're just like, that's why they're very even keel right now, because they're like, all we have to do is appear like we know what we're doing, appear like that we have things in control and have an answer for everything and not pull a Joe Judge and go on a rant. As long as we don't go on a rant and we appear cool, calm, and collected, we can keep our jobs for another year. That's exactly the game plan from Shane and Doyle. I can tell you right now, put money on it. That is the conversation that they've had behind closed doors. Listen, we're not going to make the playoffs. This team still sucks. We just have to do something. We just have to make sure we don't pull a McAdoo, right? Because that was McAdoo's undoing was benching Eli and starting Geno Smith, which I didn't disagree with at the time. I was like, listen, we're not in playoff contention. You're just going to get Eli hurt. Let's just see what you have in Geno. Like, I have no qualms with that. I know other diehard fans were like, this is you just ruined the streak, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, but like, you're not winning with Eli. This is a lost season. Let's not get him hurt. Let's just see what you have in Geno to see if maybe he's a bridge cap quarterback down the line. And sure enough, he was for another team. So, you don't pull a Joe Judge and run a quarterback sneak inside your own 10 with 3rd and 9 being the down and distance. Like, that's literally all Daboll and Shane are like, listen, we just don't cave into the pressure. Don't do something stupid like Joe Judge and McAdoo, and you'll be fine. But yeah, this was the drive. 1st and goal from Washington 8. Okay. Pass complete short right to Malik Neighbors for -2 yards. What are you doing? Like, I understand you want to get your ball into the hands of your best player and let him make a move, which he can do, and shake a guy and score. 2nd and goal from the 10. Russell Wilson pass incomplete short right to Theo Johnson. 3rd and goal from the Washington 10. Russell Wilson scrambles right for 8 yards, fumbles on the play, recovers his own fumble. Russell Wilson is in his 14th year, correct? 200th start. What the fuck did he see on 3rd and goal, scrambling, making him think that he could score with only Commanders in his face, only surrounded by Commanders? There was no Giants in the area. What made you think that you were gonna? And in my eyes, that to me is Russell Wilson thinking, okay, we're gonna go for it again on 4th down. Like, I'm not gonna score here, but I'm gonna get close enough to the goal line that I can score. Because if that's had to be a miscommunication between Wilson and Daboll. Daboll's got to be in his headset, or Kafka's got to be in Russell Wilson's ear being like, hey, so if we don't get this, we're going for it. Or if we don't get this, we're kicking a field goal. Because if we don't get this and we're kicking a field goal, why are you scrambling? Why are you scrambling? If you know you have no chance of scoring, why the fuck are you scrambling? You're not going to score. And if you don't score, you're going to go to a field goal on 4th down, why are you scrambling? It's just like, that needs to be communicated. And I see it happen across a lot of other games and NFL teams where there's an actual strategy and there's communication about, if we don't make it here, we're doing this. If we do make it here, I mean, you talked about it I think Nance and Romo were talking about it in the Packers-Lions game, where it's like, that's next level thinking. You're thinking 2 plays down the road. If we hit this, we do this, and then this. And if we don't get this, we do this. And if we don't, and blah, 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 blah. You have like a little fucking decision tree, a roadmap of like, if this happens, blah, blah, blah. I don't think the Giants had that at all. If you did, then why? And if Daboll's going to make the argument, well, we didn't get it on the previous. It's like, yeah, but dude, you're not going to win. You're not going to beat the fucking Commanders kicking field goals. You're not going to beat, hot take, you're not going to beat 80 to 90% of NFL teams by just kicking field goals. And I really do think that 80 to 90% of other teams, when faced with 4th and 2, even after failing on the previous 4th and goal, are going to go for the score. So, yes, not as careless or reckless as a McAdoo or Shermer or Judge, but like, is this how you want to play football? Cowardly football? This is cowardly football. Cowardly. So it's like, do you want reckless and careless and stupid, or do you want coward football? They both suck. Pick your poison. Right now we're playing coward football. I don't give a shit that we tried 4 times and didn't make it. Keep going. The odds have to, the odds of you scoring once in 8 times feels better than I don't know. That was your opportunity to turn the corner, flip the switch, and get the season off to a good start and wash away, scrub away, and eliminate any negative remnants or resonance of disappointment from the past 2 seasons. That was your opportunity right there. And my God, how different is that game if Russell Wilson throws it to Darius Slayton and scores a touchdown? How different is the game and the season if that happens? And I know that's a lot to put on one play, on one series, in one game. But fuck, dude. You think things are going to change after that game? You think things are going to change after the game? You think that Dable's going to learn from that? Dude, how many fucking games do you have to coach and how many seasons do you have to coach before you fucking learn? I know everyone's still learning and that's good. Everybody should continue to learn and develop, but god damn it, dude. 3rd and goal, he scrambles. 4th and goal from the 2. Incomplete to Malik Neighbors. You get the penalty on Dietrich Wise for illegal use of hands, so we get a new fresh set of downs at the fucking 1. Wilson pass incomplete lefts. Cam Scattaboo up the middle for -1 yards. Everyone and their mother saw that coming. And then 3rd and goal from the 2. Russell Wilson pass incomplete short middle, and then they kick a field goal. So right there, it's very simple. I know you want to establish dominance and be aggressive and show the league and your division that, hey, we got this new weapon in Cam Scattaboo, and you can't bring him down, and he's going to score, and we're going to run this down your throat. But you have to, like, other teams scout you. Other teams do their research and the game plan for you, and they know that's coming. And the Giants ended up doing again on another goal-to-go situation where they fake it to Scattaboo up the middle, and Wilson, I think a much younger Russell Wilson would have run that into the pylon and scored, and instead he pulled up and threw it away. So, first scoring drive of the season spanned 16 plays, 76 yards, more than 8 minutes, but resulted in a field goal. Elected to go for 3 to get some points on the board. Fuck you. 3 and out on the next possession. Awesome. This is where I get really upset is like on this 3 and out, we had it was 3rd and 1. 3rd and 1. We're down 7-3. We're on our own 24. It's 3rd and 1. And we have a Russell Wilson throws a pass incomplete short right to Wan'Dale Robinson. It's like, God damn it, you guys. God damn it. What hope do we have if we're not even going to attempt to run the ball on 3rd and 1 or come up with a better game plan than fucking, if you need a yard, you're not giving it to Wan'Dale Robinson. You're just not. You gotta, like, that to me is a perfect opportunity for an offensive mastermind, which Dable purports to be, which everyone thinks Kafka is. In that situation, 3rd and 1 on your own 24, right? You haven't really shown a great success rate in your running game. But Scattaboo's in the game. And you know that Scattaboo, the other team knows that Scattaboo is your short yardage back. And like, this is what the game plan of the Giants are going to do on short yardage. And goal to go. They're going to use Cam Scattaboo and they're going to hand it off to him. And they have belief in him to get the first down. It's like, and if you do a heavy set formation, shift into a widespread formation, fake the handoff to Scattaboo, screen or short pass to Scattaboo off the fake, I'm almost certain you get a first down there. But instead you throw a short pass to Wan'Dale Robinson, dude. And I'm sorry, I just still do not have confidence in Wan'Dale Robinson. I still don't. I think there's still too many times where his size is a detriment to what's going on. You had a pass where I think it was a play action pass. Wan'Dale leaks out the left side on like what could be a wheel route. If Russell Wilson hits him in stride, it's probably a touchdown, if not a very big gain, and again, a big momentum shift. Instead, Russell throws the ball to what would be normal to a 6-foot receiver like a Malik Neighbors, but it's 5'7" Wan'Dale Robinson. He has to stretch out and almost dive for it, and he loses his footing, goes down, and it's like what could have been an even bigger gain is limited to the gain, catch, and flop. There was another situation where it's goal to go, and he throws it to Wan'Dale Robinson, but it's over his head, and it's like if that's Neighbors or even Slayton, do they get their hand on it and make the catch? The size is an issue. It just is. You don't have a big catch radius. You don't have as big a vertical. You don't have this. You don't have that. You don't have this. Again, 3rd and 1, you convert there, you at least take a little bit more time off the clock, keep Jaden Daniels off the field, and maybe even get some momentum going. Instead, it's 3 and out. You give the ball right back to the Commanders, who go and score a touchdown. 6 plays, 0 net yards on the next drive, a punt. 4 plays, 15 yards to start the 3rd quarter, punt, 3 and out, punt. And then that's when, we had that 12-play drive that went 43 net yards. And Graham Gano hits the 55-yard field goal to pull within 1. And then we 5-play drive, 37 yards, punt, and then 12-play drive to end the game, 62 yards, couldn't punch it in. So on that final drive where we couldn't get it in, 1st and goal at the 3 after a great pass and great catch by Daniel Bellinger, 14 yards to get them at the fucking 3-yard line. 1st and goal from the 3. Russell Wilson pass and complete short. Russell Wilson pass and complete short right. Russell Wilson pass and complete short left, intended for Malik Neighbors. Russell Wilson pass and complete short middle, intended for Wan'Dale Robinson. Again, at the goal line. Like, the only time that a Wan'Dale Robinson target is going to result in a touchdown is if you get him sprinting to the pylon, and you got to put it in you have to pinpoint that pass. So the odds of probability of that succeeding are very low. So why even have him on the fucking field, dude? I mean, that's where I'm at with Wan'Dale Robinson. It's like, I just don't think he's a game changer, the difference maker. Is he a playmaker? Yeah. But like, it's limited. It's a very limited, low ceiling for him, both literally and figuratively. We were 0 for 2 in scoring touchdowns in the red zone. We had 8 plays inside the 10 that amounted to a net loss of 3 yards. Yikes. In terms of production on 1st down, we completed 5 of 13 passes for 56 yards and ran 11 times for 47 yards, which that's actually not so bad. So why did we abandon the run? I don't know. At least on 1st down. Wilson completed 17 of 27 passes for 168 yards. That's not right. He was 17 of like 37, I think. It's definitely not right. Yeah, he was 17 of 37 for 168 yards. It's 45.9% completion percentage. Woof, dude. He was sacked twice and hit 8 times. He also had 33 yards on 5 carries, 59.3 QB rating. Woof. The consensus on him was that Wilson fled from some clean pockets early and was forced to throw on the move or off his back foot. Giants receivers and running backs, tight ends didn't help the cause either, failing to come up with a number of catchable balls. Like I mentioned, Neighbors dropping a couple. I mean, obviously, those aren't easy catches to make, but to me, it's like you hit Neighbors in the hands, both hands, that should be a catch. When Wilson scrambles to the right and throws deep right to Neighbors, that's something that Neighbors, he like kind of stopped or hesitated or stutter stepped or something. And that was the difference. Couldn't come up with the ball. And then Wilson went kind of a underthrown back shoulder type vert to Neighbors on the right side. Neighbors goes up. Obviously, there was some hand fighting. Maybe you could have called illegal contact or whatever on the defender. I don't think it was that egregious an oversight by the refs. But Neighbors goes up. He gets both hands on it, drops the ball. Neighbors ended up catching 5 passes on 12 targets for 71 yards. And what's most maddening about that and frustrating is the fact that there are so many times and so many plays where it looks so easy. It's just like, and it's not like a crazy route where he's like double moving, triple moving or anything like that. It's literally it's a move. It's an out pattern where he just fakes going inside, comes outside, and he's like 10 yards of separation. Or it's a comeback route where like he looks like he's going deep and he stops on a dime and comes back and it's 5 yards of separation. It looks so easy. And it's like, that should be the pitch and catch. The Cowboys in the 90s made a fucking dynasty out of that. It was Aikman to Irvin on an out and they completed it. I mean, the completion rate on that had to be through the roof. Why can't the Giants do that with Russell Wilson and Malik Neighbors? I just don't get it. Gridiron Media tweeted tweeted that the year is 2028. The Giants let Malik Neighbors walk. They are tired of his quote-unquote antics. He signs with his buddy, Jaden Daniels, in Washington. Washington wins the Super Bowl. Giants still stink. And I mean, you can cement that. That is a Coors Light lock of the century right there. That is going to happen. It's just absolutely going to happen. I mean, the body language, you can see it written all over Malik Neighbors' face. I mean, I said it the moment he was drafted, and I saw the reaction he gave then. I was just like, this dude is not sticking around past his rookie contract, and I'd be shocked if he even makes it through his rookie contract. And if anything, the Giants know that the Commanders want him and are going to try and deal him in his last year of his contract because they don't want him to get – they don't want Washington to get Malik Neighbors because that's the death knell for the Giants. K60 on X said, I did not think the interior offensive line would be as bad as it was. JMS, John Michael Schmitz, at this point is not even a replacement level player. We basically paid Darius Slayton $12 million a year to run cardio. He needs targets. He can play. He's proven that. And Russ is seeing ghost. He moved out of the pocket when he didn't need to several times. So, yeah, I mean, Darius Slayton not getting a target is unconscionable. Unconscionable. If Washington is shifting coverage and double teaming or triple teaming Malik Neighbors, Darius Slayton should be able to take full advantage of that. And if Slayton's not taking advantage of it, then Wan'Dale Robinson should be taking advantage of it. How the fuck are you not going to attempt a pass to Darius Slayton? How does that happen? Dude has a fucking C on his chest. He's a captain, for Christ's sake. 0 catches, 0 targets. And I guess that's a case of like, well, it goes back to the offensive line. If the offensive line can protect Russell Wilson, then he has the time to hit Darius Slayton on a deep shot. And it's like, okay. I mean, we saw Tyrod Taylor do it to Darius Slayton multiple times when Tyrod was playing. So what's happening? And the 2023 line was one of the worst in the fucking league in franchise history and in NFL history. So yeah, the offensive line, not great. Russell Wilson also not playing to the level that we thought he would play. For everyone saying, well, it's Daniel Jones' fault. Look, Daniel Jones sucks. Once you get someone on here that's better than Daniel Jones, you'll see improvement. You'll see explosive plays. You'll see progress. And it's like, I didn't see shit. I saw basically essentially the same thing as what Daniel Jones was giving you, if not worse. We converted, obviously, 4 of 16 on third down. We averaged 3.7 yards per play. It's like what I was looking forward to. I wasn't looking forward to much, but I was like, I really did, a small percentage of me did think that our offense would play better. Not necessarily like Detroit Lions or Cincinnati Bengals better, or even Washington Commanders better, but just better, where we're not settling for field goals and we're not doing 3 yards of play. Like but we're right where we were, where we have been for the past 2 seasons. Giants have the second most consecutive Week 1 games without a touchdown in NFL history. Tied with the 1923 to 1925 Rock Island Independence. I don't even know where the fuck Rock Island is. Maybe I need to get a Rock Island Independence jersey at this point to just kind of lean into the curse. Only the 1922 to 1925 Hammond Pros and the 1922 to 1925 Chicago Bears have more consecutive Week 1 games without a touchdown. We're talking about, it's been 100 years. 100 years. I've rattled off a lot of stats during this Brian Daboll era, and they're all fucking mind-blowing. They're all like stats that you have never seen in 100 years, and now you can add another one to the list, and yet people still have confidence in this fat fuck. Talking Giants said the Giants the first team to not score a touchdown in 3 straight season openers since the Lions from 1940 to 1942. Again, that's 80 plus years. We're talking about 80 to 100 years that this shit has not been happening in the NFL, not just in franchise history, in the NFL, and the Giants are doing it. But people still believe in Brian Daboll, and they still believe in Joe Schoen, which is absolutely bonkers. I believe you can be diagnosed with insanity. I'm pretty sure you can be diagnosed with insanity with that kind of thinking and that kind of mentality. Marshall Green on Twitter said the Giants ran 11 plays inside the 10-yard line today and scored 3 points. He also tweeted that the Giants are the only team that did not score a touchdown in the 1 p.m. window of games. Evan Knows Ball on X said, I watched these games and these other teams scored touchdowns so easy. Why can't that just be us? Great question. Great question. I mean, when you're seeing, they're just, it's mind-boggling. Gridiron Media posted on X, we are going on year 3 of Brian Daboll's offense being totally embarrassing. How can an offensive-minded coach have such a bad offense? Great question. And the offense that did okay in 2022, we're acting like 2022 was like this great season. And it was enjoyable for sure, at least the first half. The second half blew chunks. And we probably should not have made the playoffs. And the offense was predicated on the run game. And we decided that after we did so well in the run game that we weren't going to give Barkley what he wanted and give him an extension. We weren't going to develop the offensive line and make it better. Instead, we got worse on the offensive line. We let Saquon walk, and look where we are now. The Entertainer on X said, over the last 3 years, Brian Daboll's teams have scored a combined 12 points to open up the season. This guy is an offensive mastermind, ? And I'm here to tell you, nah, dude, nah. Not an offensive mastermind. It shouldn't take you this long to figure it out, man. It shouldn't take you this long. And the fact that you experienced the success you did in the first year and not in year 2 or 3 or 4 indicates that, well, maybe it had something to do with the players that were part of the regime before you came on board. And maybe they were just happy to be rid of someone like Joe Judge, and they were just happy to have a new person in the building, and you really had little to no effect on them. Or maybe they were just so happy that you weren't Joe Judge. I don't know, dude. All I know is, how are you an offensive mastermind and your offense has been fucking dead last or near dead last for the past 3 years? I don't know. And I've said this before, I'll say it again. Not a head coach, maybe an offensive coordinator. Maybe. And long term, he's going to be a QB coach. Book it, dude. Monte Cristo or Monte Cry 5-2 on X said, plenty of football, but Daboll and Shane sold John Mara that the quarterback was the reason they failed. So far, the offense looks the same, and Daniel Jones looks much improved. This is the worst case scenario for these guys. Yeah, dude. We'll get to Daniel Jones in a sec, but hot damn, man. You thought you didn't need Saquon Barkley. You let him walk to Philly. He wins a Super Bowl, puts up a historic year. You let Xavier McKinney walk. You don't re-sign him. He goes to the Packers. He becomes an all-pro, leading the league in interceptions, and it looks like he's only going to continue to do that with the Packers. The Packers have probably one of the best defenses in the league now. And you now bailed on Daniel Jones, and everyone pointed their fingers at Daniel Jones and said, you're the fault. And listen, did he play great in a lot of games? That Carolina Panthers game was brutal, but hot damn. You can make an argument that the offensive line didn't do him any favors. His head coach didn't do him any favors. His OC didn't do him any favors. The organization didn't do him any favors. And you wouldn't be wrong. And holy shit, you give him an offensive line. You give him a capable an actual offensive guru / mastermind. And he makes NFL history. Ryan Dunleavy from the Daily News says the Giants offense looks like a unit that returned 10 of 11 starters from the number 31 scoring offense and replaced one below average quarterback with another below average quarterback as the only change. Connor Hughes from SNY said the Giants had the NFL's worst offense in the NFL for 17 of 18 weeks. They brought back every starter but quarterback. The addition at quarterback was Russell Wilson. Why did these results on offense surprise anyone? Nick Falato or Felicio on X said Washington generated 22 pressures across 45 dropbacks in their Week 1 victory over the G-Men. That is 5 more pressures than the unit recorded in any other game last season. So Washington, I think a lot of people, myself included, thought, oh, well, in terms of making moves, draft picks, offseason free agency, maybe the Commanders, obviously they did more than the Cowboys did. Cowboys, I think their only real big pickup was Pickens, and then they re-signed Deron Bland, and traded away Micah Parsons. But it's the Commanders were kind of on the quieter side Yeah, like, yes, they get Deebo Samuel. Yes, they re-sign McLaurin. They brought in maybe they bring in some people along the defense, but it's like they didn't do like crazy earth-shattering type stuff in the offseason and the draft and free agency, but it's like whatever they did, it's working. Meanwhile, the Giants made all these moves on fucking defense. They did little to nothing on offense. You know, you draft Marcus Bowe, he doesn't play, he doesn't start. You bring in this guy Hudson from the Browns, a swing tackle, he sucks. Evan Neal's a healthy scratch. You re-sign Jermaine Illuminor, great. You bring back Van Roten, okay. John Michael Schmitz sucks. John Runyon's not great on a pretty hefty contract for a guard. You knew that your offensive line wasn't top notch. Other than Andrew Thomas, maybe Jermaine Illuminor you can say is a decent guy. But you're not going to win games and go to the playoffs with decent guys. You need to make upgrades. Nothing on the offensive line yet. Fucking again. And Marcus Bowe, I mean, how many preseason games did we watch where he's like, they're calling him out and saying, wow, look at him. He's punching at the point of attack. He's doing this. He looks great. He's a they have something here. And then you're not going to play him. And instead you run a fucking play action play to him, throw it to him in the end zone. Oh my God. Like that's something that the Lions do when they're up 34-0 last year. It's not something the Giants should do when they're down 7-0 against the fucking Commanders. I didn't think I would get worked up on this podcast. I really didn't think I would get worked up in this episode, but here we are. Zane at This Is Not Zane on X said Jermaine Illuminor at left tackle, Bowe at right tackle, get Hudson out of there. I couldn't agree more. You know, I'd rather see what Bowe has because I don't think Hudson's got it. Ryan Dunleavy again on X. Evan Neal took first team reps for half of training camp, and now it looks like he will be a healthy scratch in week 1. He was. Giants did everything they could to try to help him salvage his career this preseason, including feeding confidence-building messages of how good he looked to the public. Now the first-round bust at offensive tackle is a third-string guard. If the Giants are afraid to play Jackson Dart because of the offensive line that they have built over the last 4 years, I think that tells you everything you need to know about this regime. I mean, bingo. Bingo fucking bango. I don't know why John Mara feels like he owes it to the fans or he owes it to Dable and Shane to see it through and to give him a chance and to give him leash, and because he's reacted so quickly in the past. But it's like the reason that you're holding on to Dable and Shane is because you believe they can find the next quarterback. They have now drafted their next quarterback, but now they can't play their next quarterback because the guys that they have protecting that quarterback suck. So now we have to wait for them to magically figure out the offensive line. What, next year? Because they're not going to do it this year. So then we're stuck with these assholes again next year. And what? They're going to go all in on offensive line finally. And those guys will end up like falling way short of expectations and not performing to the level that we thought we would. And Dart's going to struggle. And then we're going to be like, well, Commanders turn it around in a year. Teams have done that. It does, like, you know, teams have done it in a year. And at least with someone like I've pointed it out before, but well, like you look at the Detroit Lions and what Dan Campbell has done. 2021, they suck, but they're getting better as the season goes on. 2022, they get off to a rough start, but then they finish really strong, almost make the playoffs. 2023, they explode. 2024, they explode. So it's like, that's progress. What progress are we seeing from this fucking team? It's the same tune over and over again. Chad Forbes at NFL Draft Bites on X said, you'd be hard pressed to find a worse center in the NFL than John Michael Schmitz. A second-round pick they clearly wasted. Letting him continue to start without competition only sets you back further. I feel like I've seen enough. Like, when have we ever said, wow, John Michael Schmitz had a really nice game from start to finish? It's always like, well, John Michael Schmitz had some good plays here and there. It's never a good game start to finish. I mean, there was one play where he's like 5 to 10 yards in the backfield as a center. It's like, dude, you cannot have that happen. So To me, it's simple. Van Roten at center. Boom. Illuminor left tackle, Bo right tackle, and then, I mean, ride or die with Evan Neal. It's like, this is your last year, make it or break it. You know, you can't be any worse. We'll just try and run the ball more, I guess, because I think he's more effective in the run game than he is pass protection. But it's like, yet again, you have whiffed on the offensive line. And you can't say to me, well, what have you done? What have you done to fix the offensive fucking line? So you sign John Runyon, you sign Illuminor, you sign Van Roten, which was an emergency panic signing because Evan Neal sucked and was hurt. And then you draft him. You draft Bo. Azudu stinks. McKeithen didn't make the team. The offensive line is a priority, dude. It's a priority. The fan base has been screaming about it for a friggin' decade. Fix it. And instead it's like, yeah, let's just draft this tight end. Let's draft this D tackle that's a healthy scratch week 1. You know, and I think it was Carl Banks maybe said it on X. He was like, listen, Michael Strahan was a healthy scratch for the first 5 games of his rookie season because he couldn't beat out the veterans on the defensive line. Okay. Oh, okay. I guess I can see that. Is Darius Alexander going to be Michael Strahan? I don't know, man. I don't know. I mean, Darius Alexander is also older than Michael Strahan was when Michael Strahan was a rookie, I believe. You know, so that doesn't help things. It'd be one thing if Darius Alexander is like 20 or 21 years old, even 22 years old. I believe he's like 25 years old. Same with John Michael Schmitz. It's like, we're not talking about a guy that's in his early 20s. This guy's mid-20s now. Fucking figure it out. Allie, Thibodeau enthusiast at Am I a Blex Alley? Abel X Alley, whatever. Been quote unquote rebuilding this offensive line my whole entire life. I'm tired. David Severston at OurLads_Psy on X said, putting Jackson Dart behind this offensive line is exactly what I do not want to see. At the very least, wait until Andrew Thomas is back, healthy, and playing well. I couldn't agree more. And, you know, for everyone who wants to go to Dart now and bury Russell Wilson, okay, yeah, Russell Wilson looked like garbage. I'd still like to see what he looks like with Andrew Thomas starting. But even with Andrew Thomas starting, we're not going to win a ton of games. It's like the record is better with Andrew Thomas, but it's not exactly like we're winning all the games that he starts. It's just like we win more games when he starts. So knowing that, going into the season, how come we didn't make a bigger push and a better effort to bolster the offensive line? It really comes back to the GM, the head coach, the organization putting entirely way too much faith into an offensive line coach to fix the situation. And it's like maybe Carmen Brazillo makes the offensive line 10% better, 5% better, but you also need to have the talent and the coaching together to do that. And it's like the talent is either getting worse under the coaching staff. So that's the offense. Defensively, Cordell Flott started opposite Paulson Adebo at cornerback. I mean, you know, Deonte Banks' days are numbered. I don't even know what the fuck we would get for him in a trade. 5th rounder? I can't even, I mean, the friggin' Commanders, I think, got Deebo Samuel for a 5th rounder or something like that. So I think we'd be lucky to get even a fucking 7th rounder for Deonte Banks, to be honest. I mean, that's got to be the final nail in the coffin for Deonte Banks, dude. And give up number 2 and give it to Jackson Dart. I mean, you're like, why do you get number 2? You should get a fucking 38. You should get a number that's for like a friggin' practice squad guy that's elevated because someone got hurt. You don't deserve number 2 when you're not even fucking starting, dude. And looking at Cordell Flott hurts my brain. It's like watching what is it? Animated films or animated movies from Illumination. Specifically like Despicable Me or any of those movies where like the people are like painfully, woefully thin. Like, have you ever looked at Gru's legs? It's just like so goddamn thin. It's like that guy it's like you can break that taking a wrong step on the stairs, my guy. You could break that kicking a soccer ball. That's what I see when I look at Cordell Flott. It's like, this guy is so skinny. Can we not put weight on this guy? Can we not get some weight on him? That being said, I mean, I guess he played fairly well. It wasn't like this humongous drop off from Deonte Banks and what Deonte Banks has given you. We lost inside linebacker Micah McFadden to injury. He was carted off the field. It looked like his season was done. Apparently, the X-rays came back negative, so he'll come back at some point. Will he be playing at the same level that he was? I don't think so. McFadden's one of those players where it's like we think he's better than what we've had at middle linebacker. He's starting. I mean, it's unexpected what he's done in terms of being a 5th-round pick, not being highly touted, not being like labeled this starter, coming in, starting and playing well, getting high PFF grades and holding his own. But like, is he ultimately, is he going to be like a difference maker? I don't know. So it's like, it's still a huge loss because we're that thin in inside linebacker. Like Mausau, I don't think he's really going to be able to do much. And that's why I would advocate for Abdul Carter coming in and playing alongside Bobby Okereke, and then that way you can have all the big dogs on the field at the same time. Dexter, Brian Burns, KT, and Abdul Carter on the playing field every down. Listen, guys, jobs are on the line here. Expectations are super fucking low. Now is not the time to play scared or shy or like, whoa, conservative. I've been saying this for the past, how long? 2-3 years? Let it rip. Let it fly. What do we, why is Abdul Carter playing 38 snaps? Let's get all these dudes on the field and dial it up, because your offense is not doing, like, I don't know. I just thought, like, and I said this multiple times in the offseason when thinking about this upcoming season, the 2025 season. I was saying to myself, as long as it's not boring, I don't think we're going to win a ton of games. I don't think we're going to make the playoffs, but at least it won't be boring. At least it should be exciting. We should get to see Abdul Carter unleashed alongside Kayvon and Brian Burns and Dexter Lawrence. We should get to see Malik Neighbors and Darius Slayton unleashed, because we're going to attempt more down the field passing, and we have a quarterback that has a history, a proven track record of throwing the ball deep. 21-6, 6 points scored, 3 yards per play. So the drive that really upset me for the Commanders, right? So they have the opening drive where we get them to stall and force a punt. They score that touchdown on the second drive, 8 plays, 89 yards, 4 minutes in length. We get a 3-and-out on the next one. And then this drive, the fourth drive, Washington's fourth drive, where they started at their own 42, was 8 plays, 58 yards, went almost a little over 5 minutes and resulted in a touchdown. But here's a key sequence. There were a couple key sequences, key plays on this drive that really make me think that I was right, and everyone who has doubted Shane Bowen is 1,000% right. And there's no reason why we need to keep Shane Bowen around, because what the hell has he done for us lately? You've been given the talent, dude. You've been given so much talent. Javon Holland supposedly is an upgrade at safety. Paulson Adebo, upgrade at corner. Abdul Carter, upgrade at linebacker. Like, you've been given these assets and this talent, and you still can't do anything with it. We got Washington into a 2nd and 16, okay? We're down 7-3. They're around midfield. It's 2nd and 16. Normally, you put an offense in that kind of situation, it's super tough to get a first down and extend the drive, and most likely it's going to result in a punt, if not a long field goal that most likely is missed. Jaden Daniels pass complete short middle to Deebo Samuel for 16 goddamn yards. 1st and 10 from the Giants 37. Deebo Samuel right end for no gain. Penalty on Nacho for defensive holding, 5 yards accepted. Barf. So that's an automatic first down. 1st and 10 from the Giants 32. Daniels pass complete to Noah Brown for no gain. Penalty on Noah Brown for offensive offside, 5 yards accepted. Okay. 1st and 15 now. Now they're in field goal range. It's not a chip shot. It's 54 yards. If you can just hold them into that range, who knows how the field goal goes. 1st and 15 from the Giants 37. Daniels sacked by Brian Burns for 4 yards. It's now 2nd and 19. You've now pushed them to the point where it's field goal is a real dicey situation. It would be a 56-yarder. Jaden Daniels pass complete short left to Terry McLaurin, 13 yards. Okay, that sucks. They're now definitely in a makeable field goal range, but it's 3rd and 6. So it's like, let's hold them to the field goal. Jaden Daniels scrambles right end for 11 yards. Penalty on Javon Howland for defensive holding 5 yards, automatic first down. It's like, people were angry that we had Brian Burns in coverage and not blitzing because he was our best pass rusher yesterday. People were angry that Abdul Carter only played 38 snaps, and then you had him as a spy on Jaden Daniels. I'm not in that camp of like, oh, you can't have him spy on Jaden Daniels, because it's like he's one of the most athletic, if not the most athletic guy on our defense. Why not have him spy on Jaden Daniels? Because he can hunt him down and prevent this kind of big gain. So, but if you're going to rush Brian Burns and Abdul Carter, who's the guy that's responsible for Jaden Daniels? You'd think we would have learned our lesson from the Bengals game last year, where we just let Joe Burrow run wild on that fucking long ass touchdown. Like, how the fuck does that happen? And yet we continue to let it happen. And then you had the end of the half where it's like, I don't even think that Washington should have been in position to score. At the 2-minute warning, Washington has the ball at their own 41. It's 2nd and 20 with 1:29 left at their own 41. We're down 14-3. Jaden Daniels passes complete short right to Deebo Samuel for 9 yards. Okay. That then becomes 3rd and 11 at midfield. This is your opportunity to get the fuck off the field and maybe even get in a position where you can kick a field goal late. Jaden Daniels passes complete deep right to Deebo Samuel for 21 yards on Andrew Phillips, who, he had a decent play. I feel like he's always a sure tackler, so he's always able to come up and make a play and make the stop before it gets out of hand. But like in coverage, So, obviously Washington doesn't score there. They should have, but like that's an opportunity where like it should not have even been that close. We should not have even been in that position. And then you even look at the last touchdown that Washington scored that basically put the game out of reach in the fourth quarter with 12 minutes left. They start throwing 20. They go 9 plays, 80 yards in a little under 5 minutes. But there was a 2nd and 17 from the Washington 40 with 9:35 on the clock. Jaden Daniels up the middle for 12 yards. So now it's 3rd and 5. They're in Giants territory at the 48. It's a 3rd and 5. You stop them here. Odds are they're probably not going to kick a field goal. If they do, they miss it. Jaden Daniels, pass complete, short right, Deebo Samuel, 19 yards. Extended the drive. There were multiple times where we got them in 2nd and long, and you gave up big chunk plays to make the 3rd down conversion a little bit more obtainable, and you can't get off the field. And you have all that talent. So in my opinion, that's on Shane Bowen. Like, how many times do you guys say figure it out? They're not going to fucking figure it out, dude. Giants allowed 87 rushing yards on 6.2 yards per carry in the first half for the game. 6.9 yard average. Barf. This defensive unit allowed 220 or more rushing yards in a game only once all of last season, and they did it in week 1 of this season. Commanders faced 2nd and long, 7 or more yards, 12 times in week 1, not counting Jaden Daniels' kneel down at the end of the game, which sounds promising on paper, but on those 12 plays, Washington averaged 12.8 yards per play. 6 of the 12 resulted in a first down, while another 2 led to a 3rd and short. The defense was only able to get Washington in 3rd and long 4 times. And I think 3 of those times they were able to get off the field. That's we've talked about when we drafted Abdul Carter. We're like, that's the recipe for success for this Giants defense. 3rd and long, 3rd and long, 3rd and long. If you can get these other teams in a 3rd and long, then you can go all NASCAR on their asses. You can have the 4 big pass rushers just pin their ears back and go for it. And instead, it only happens 4 times. If you can get the other offense, because, you'd love to go 4 for 4 in those situations. They went 3 of 4 in terms of holds. But like much better, higher percentage than what they ended up, ending the game with. So Commanders were successful in 3 of 4 red zone drives. Again, we suck in red zone offense. I feel like we used to be good in red zone defense, and that was not the case in week 1. Abdul Carter picked up 3 quarterback pressures on 25 pass rush snaps, according to Next Gen Stats, including 2 quick pressures under 2.5 seconds. Inches away from blocking a punt in the second quarter, and then got his hand on another in the second half. I think someone else tweeted that he had another punt that he almost blocked. It seemed like every time the Commanders punted, we were close to blocking it. And he also notched half a sack with Kayvon. Brian Burns also had a great game with 2 sacks. Kayvon Thibodeau picked up 3 pressures. Dexter Lawrence was held without a pressure, but was double teamed on 69.2% of his pass rushes. You would think that if he's getting double teamed, that should free up Burns, Thibodeau, and Carter to clean up. But you only get the 3 sacks. So, but you also are going against Jaden Daniels, who's one of the more mobile, elusive quarterbacks in the league. Which who knows? You play a Joe Flacco, you probably get 6 sacks. Doug Analytics on X said that Giants defensive line snap counts per PFF out of 70. Kayvon Thibodeau topped the list with 52. Dexter Lawrence 49. Roy Robertson Harris 47. Brian Burns 47. Abdul Carter 38. Nacho 32. DJ Davidson 15. Chauncey Golston 11. Elijah Garcia got called up 6. Darius Alexander healthy scratch 0. Again, that's a tough one to stomach. That's a tough one. Because it really thought that they maybe got a gem. They got someone who was overlooked, a real value pick, a steal in that 3rd round. And it turns out, well, maybe they were completely wrong about that, drafting a 25-year-old who is competing at Toledo. And the fact that Kayvon got 52 and outsnapped Carter when you had a lot of people saying Carter was outplaying Kayvon, again, goes to show that I don't think training camp and fucking preseason means dick. There's also a part of my brain that thinks, okay, they're going to try and push Kayvon as much as possible for the trade deadline in terms of snap counts to show people, and hopefully he produces enough so that when we're basically eliminated from playoff contention, which we will be at the trade deadline, they can then get something back for him that's, I don't even fucking know at this point. Again, if you're giving up a 5th rounder for Deebo Samuel, what are you giving up for Kayvon Thibodeau? I mean, I guess if you have a team in a playoff hunt who, a la the Lions last year when they had Hutchinson go down, are you looking at a similar situation with a team that's like top of the division or at least pushing for the top of the division in the spot where they could make the playoffs in need of a pass rusher, maybe could squeeze a 4th out of someone? I don't know. I mean, like if Shane Bowen can't figure out how to get all these guys on the field at the same time and make it work, then it's like, it feels like a waste. And to me, it's like Carter, we've kind of seen what we got from Kayvon. We don't think it's something that we'll sorely miss, especially if we have Abdul Carter. So that's where my head's at with regards to that. Doug Analytics also said when the Giants rushed 4 or fewer, Jaden Daniels went 16 of 21 for 204 yards and a scrambling touchdown. When the Giants blitzed, Daniels went 3 of 9 for 29 yards with a passing rating of 43.3. Again, why didn't we blitz more? Because we have Shane motherfucking Bowen. I would love to see what Wink Martindale would do with this goddamn defense. I would love to see what Wink would do, dude. And I know like the Michigan's defense has not been that great. And they did lose to Oklahoma in prime time. Not that Oklahoma scored that much, but I just like the fact that Wink Martindale was so goddamn aggressive and blitzed at an unreal rate that I can't imagine what he would do with Kayvon, Carter, and Burns. Ooh. That's a what if for the ages, my friends. Paulson Adebo had 33 snaps in coverage, most of which were spent on Terry McLaurin. Finished with just two catches, allowed for 27 yards. PFF had Adebo down for passer rating against of just 50.4, which is great. However, my God, I mentioned it when we're talking in the season preview, but Daniels had McLaurin wide open down the left-hand side early in the game and overthrew him. And he knew it. He missed a big opportunity because McLaurin had Adebo beat by like 5 or more steps. So, again, could have been worse, could have been better. Is it better than what we've seen out of our cornerbacks? Yes. So that gives me confidence in him. And hey, remember when Bobby Okereke was good at football? That was a tweet I saw, and I was like, yeah, I do remember. And that was with broken ribs. He played every game. You know, it's I guess it was the first season of his free agent contract, and so maybe that's why he played so well, because it seems like most Giants, they play so goddamn well in their first year, and then it's like drop off second year, drop off third year. But I mean, I can't honestly remember the last time Bobby Okereke had like a great game. It's like he led the team in tackles. He had 16 fucking tackles in this game, but it was like down the field. It's like 5 yards down the field, 10 yards down the field. It's like, to me, I'd be way more impressed if you're making 16 tackles and they're at the line of scrimmage or within 3 yards of the line of scrimmage. But when you're making tackles like 10 yards, 15 yards down the field, 5 yards down the field, that doesn't, like, okay, what is that doing for us? So, yeah, I mean, he's taken a tremendous step back. I think now that McFadden is down, I think he's only going to regress more. I don't think he's going to step up. So, I mean, I don't know, man. I honestly think you're looking at probably the last season that will have Bobby Okereke. I mean, what is his contract like? Let me take a look. So we have him for one more year after this. Dead cap will be $5.4 million if we cut him in 2026. So I don't think we're going to move on from him after this year. It just doesn't make sense considering how thin we are. Would be nice to at least shine a spotlight on that position and figure it out in terms of free agency in the draft to bolster it, because I don't know that this combination of Okereke and McFadden is okay, but I don't think okay is going to get the job done. So most likely he'll be a trade candidate in 2026. I don't see things changing much. So I think 2026 is when at the trade deadline is when we'll see the last of Okereke. But I keep saying all this shit, and Shane's just so reluctant to do it and pull the trigger. He's just so reluctant. So, but I think that's a situation where he goes to Okereke and goes, "Hey, we were thinking about it. What do you think?" And Okereke is probably going to be like, "Yeah, I don't see much reason to stick around here. Let me go to a playoff contender." Special teams was a little weird seeing Jamie Gillen wearing 12. Again, I think he should have 6 and Dart should have 2, and Banks should be on another team. He punted the ball fairly well. I think his average was like 47, 48 yards. No complaints there. He also handled kickoff duties, which I thought was cool. Graham Gano has now made 26 field goals at 50 yards or more as a Giant. That's like the next closest is Joe Danella with 9 or something like that. So am I willing to say I was wrong and apologize for wanting to move on from him? Absolutely not. But I am a stubborn son of a bitch. This guy, I just don't see him being healthy the whole year. And it's going to cost us minimum 1 game, maximum 3 to 4 games, because he's going to get hurt at some point. I just know it. And shocker, fucking Dable and Shane will not have a backup plan for it. And it will cost us a game or 2. Guaranteed. It's happened the past 2 years. It's going to happen again this year. So I know I've been criticizing Dable a lot, but Joe Shane, he can't escape the criticism either. I mean, we're now looking at the 2023 draft class and saying, and I'm saying this, I think the 2023 draft class is on par with the 2021 draft class that Gettleman had, that everyone skewers up and down, left and right, as being one of the worst in franchise history. 2023 is up there, man. It's got to be considered top 5 worst drafts in franchise history. Deonte Banks played 11 snaps on Sunday, lost the starting job to Cordell Flott. Jalen Hyatt played 0 snaps after everyone and their fucking mother was talking about how Russell Wilson has formed a connection with him and Jalen Hyatt is going to be used more because we can throw the deep ball again, blah, blah, blah. 0 snaps. Bo Collins was getting more playing time over Jalen Hyatt. John Michael Schmitz looked like John Michael Schmitz. He's been a below average center his entire career with us. So I think that's another situation where it's like, if you want to re-sign him, fine, but it has to be low cost, no cost, and you have to go out and draft someone or bring someone in so that he can sit and watch or do something else, because he's just not doing it. Theo Johnson looks like, he had a drop pass, not that he was going to convert on the 3rd down, but he had a drop pass that's like, you got to catch that. Muasau, I don't think he's it. Tyrone Tracy Jr., it's like, meh. Drew Phillips, meh. Tyler Nubin, is there enough there to say, oh yeah, he's a really good long-term guy that we can really count on? I don't know. But like that 2023 draft class, Banks stinks, Schmidt stinks, Hyatt stinks, Gray's not on the team. Trey Hawkins is out of football or something. Jordan Riley, I don't think he might be on the team. Javarius Owens, I don't think he's on the team. That's crazy. That's fucking nuts. And people kind of like, they keep pointing at 23. 2022 was also a little bit of a disaster. Kayvon Thibodeau is not exactly the guy that we thought we were getting, and he's good. Hasn't made a Pro Bowl, hasn't been an All-Pro, has been a starter, has missed some games, has had some good to great games, but it's like you need someone who's a force every game. Evan Neal, probably not on the team next year. Wan'Dale Robinson is like putting up numbers, but it's like, is it really that making a difference? No. Josh Azudu stinks. Cordell Flott is now your CB2 because your 2023 draft pick stinks. Daniel Bellinger, there was concerns that he was going to be cut this season because he had an upgrade in salary, but he's behind Manhurts and Theo Johnson. Dane Belton sees playing time, but he's been criticized. McFadden down and out. DJ Davidson, what has he done for you lately? Marcus McKeithen not on the team. Darren Beavers not on the team. So it's a lot of dudes. I mean, you're looking at Neighbors in terms of it's like Neighbors is the only guy that's made a Pro Bowl. You have 0 All-Pros, and you have 1 guy who's made 1 Pro Bowl. Bar Faroni. At Tommy G105, old enough to remember when the New York Giants used to treat the Washington Commanders as doormats. This rebuild has taken way too long and flat out doesn't look much better than when Joe Judge walked out the door. Wholeheartedly agree. The only difference is that are they going to crack under pressure? Because that will seal their fate. If Dable and Shane continue to stay the course and hold this kind of able to keep it like appearances and optics up, and maybe that's the only concern for John Mara as a Giants owner. He's like, let's just not be a laughing stock and a clown show. But it's like, you already are. Like, you already are. The Giants report on X said one thing the Giants have done extremely well so far: deflate an entire fan base's hopes and optimism in a single half of football. It's pretty impressive. Mr. Chicken at 5on_it on Twitter said Giants looked like the worst team in the league today by a rather wide margin. Can't believe we even play in the same league as the rest of the NFL. The insufferable King Davis at E_San Fran Exile on X said, been a fan for 40 years. I think the Giants have finally broken me. I honestly have no desire to watch any more games. I'll wait for the box score, and if they win, maybe some YouTube highlights. But every game now is the same. Just 3 hours of hopelessness. Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. There was a time, I guess it started last season, maybe the season before, where it was like, yeah, I don't need to move my schedule around to watch the Giants. Like if someone comes to me and says, "Hey, what are you doing Sunday at 1?" I'm like, I was going to watch the Giants game, but what did you have in mind? For every year of my existence up until halfway through 2023 or 2024, it was like I cleared my schedule. When I made plans to do things, it was always around the Giants schedule. Oh, I can't do this on this weekend. Oh, you want me to? I can't because they're playing at 4. Oh, it's a Monday night game. I can't. It was always, they came first. Giants came first, always. I'm 44. I've been watching them for 37 seasons plus. I'm at the point now where it's like, schedule's open, dude. What do you want to do? Maybe I'll record it. Maybe I'll go back and watch it. And, if I record it and it's a blowout and we lose, I don't have to look at the highlights. If it's, we win, I look at the highlight. Like, I'm right there with the insufferable King Davis. Like, this team is not worth my time and devotion and effort anymore. It's not. They're not a serious football team. They're just not. And it's just the same. It's just like the same sound bites after every loss, and just the same bullshit that's been circulating. And it's just like, it's like a withered hot dog on that little roller machine at 7-Eleven. It's just like, I've seen this thing. I'm supposed to eat this thing? No way, dude. Andrew at G-Men Galaxy on X said, convinced the Giants just jerked each other off in the practice facility all week instead of game planning. And you know what, Andrew? That made me chuckle. That made me laugh. And that's what this season is going to be about. You got to find joy in the season. You got to have laughter. You got to laugh at yourself, first and foremost, but you got to be able to laugh at the Giants. There's no more defending this team. When an Eagles fan comes and trash talks, Commanders fan trash talks, the Cowboys trash talk, anyone trash talks, you got to join in. Be like, yeah, man, I know. We suck. There's no defending this team. There's no defending this organization. It's sad, but it's funny, you know? It's sad that you have this billion-dollar organization that has such a rich history, that has seen so much success turn into just an absolute bottom of the barrel product. I was stunned in 2013. I was shocked in 2014. I slowly kind of accepted in 2015, but it was like 2015 almost was like, we were so close in so many games, and if there's a play here, a play there, we lost so many one-score games. And 2016 was like, okay, I'm not used to the success. Haven't seen it in a few years. It feels like we're winning by the skin of our teeth. Let's keep it going. Then 2017 hits. Wheels fall off of Ben McAdoo. 2018, it's like we get the infusion of Saquon Barkley. It's like 2014, we got the infusion of OBJ. But that's what life as a Giants fan has been like for almost 2 decades now, where it's like, well, at least I get to watch player X. And for Giants fans right now, it's like, well, at least I get to watch Malik Neighbors, but you can't even that's what sucks about the majority of the games, is like you can't even enjoy Malik Neighbors. I guess you could say, well, at least I get to watch Abdul Carter, but they're not even fucking playing him. Playing him half the snaps. What are we doing, dude? The guy's a freak. Let him go nuts. The guy wanted Lawrence Taylor's number. Just let him do what Lawrence Taylor did and just terrorize the field. Why are we putting him on a leash? Why are we take the blinders off, take the blocks off, take the restrictor plate off, and just let him race? What the fuck do you have to lose? We lost 14 games last year. We won 3 games. Last year, we won 6 games the year before. We're on pace to win. We're supposed to win 5 or 6 games this year. Just go hog wild, dude. And of course, you had to know that Daniel Jones was going to play well on another team. He made history. Daniel Jones is the only quarterback in the NFL history to lead his team to points on every drive of the game since 1991. He did it on all 7 drives. Now, of course, that's a really, people are like, holy shit, in all of NFL history. But it's like, you think about a lot of games where offense is scoring on every drive. If they end up with the ball at the end of the game, it's victory formation. That's a drive, ends in not a score. So that's why you haven't seen Manning or Breeze or Brady accomplish that, is because usually they're ending up with the ball at the end of the game and they're taking a knee. So it's like the stats at first blush, you're like, holy shit. And then you're like, oh yeah, well, it's not that great, but still scoring on all 7 drives. I mean, I don't think he did that once with the Giants. Maybe he came close in one game. I want to say the Washington game, his rookie season. At NYG_Pete said, look what happens when you give Danny Dimes an O-line and some weapons. Yeah. I mean, you could say that about any quarterback, but him specifically, it's like, this is what we wanted. This is what we thought we were getting. Giants blue-blooded at Real Talk Football, or Real Talk FB, said year after fucking year, it was Daniel Jones' fault. Now it's going to be Wilson's fault. Then it's going to be Dart's fault. Giants' offensive line over the last decade plus has ruined this franchise. I mean, I have to agree. That's the Giants Commanders recap. I'll be honest, like, I ended up watching Colts highlights. And if you're a longtime loyal listener to this podcast or watcher or whatever, follower, subscriber, you're like, oh, well, you turned on Daniel Jones. And it's like, well, when, like, I don't understand how you can watch that Panthers game from last year and say, oh yeah, let's continue going down this road, because it just, I think I even said it after the game. I was like, it's just not going to work out here. And I think I even said it's going to work out somewhere else for him. It's just not with the Giants. Like, Daniel Jones is a fucking weirdo. And I know people say he's a nice guy, and I know he's a nice guy. But I'm saying he's a weirdo because he has some of the weirdest stats and records I've ever come across as a football fan. The fact that, I mean, you think about what he did in that playoff game against the Vikings, where he was like the first quarterback in NFL history to pass for 250 yards and run for 2 touchdowns and have a touchdown throw in a playoff game, in a road playoff game or something like that. He like that. I vividly remember taking a picture of that goddamn graphic on the TV and sharing, because I was like, look at this. We got our guy. He's finally blooming and blossoming and becoming the guy that we thought he was. And we didn't see anything like that for the rest of his tenure with the Giants. And the ACL didn't help things. The broken neck didn't help things. Those kind of things didn't help things. And it's like maybe he just did need time to recover and heal and reset. And which he did with the Vikings. Mike Florio on Sunday Night Football saying he talked to Daniel Jones. He's like, yeah, my time with the Vikings was great. He only spent, what, like less than half a season with the Vikings. He did not play a snap, but he was under Kevin O'Connell. And he was like, that was great for me. And I think I was really able to absorb everything he was talking about and really take that knowledge and expertise to the Colts, where I'm working with Shane Steichen, who's also considered an offensive genius. So he's now under O'Connell and Steichen, and those two have helped him more in the limited amount of time that he's been with them, one start, than he had in 3 seasons with fucking Brian Daboll, alleged offensive guru mastermind. So spare me with the Brian Daboll is a genius talk. The dude's not a genius. He might act like a genius and talk like a genius, but it's like, I don't want to make this comparison, but how some people view Elon Musk. Some people think that he's just a bag of hot air, and the way that he talks, he's able to persuade and influence people to think that he's a genius. Like, I still think I don't think you can get that kind of level without being somewhat intelligent and being smart and clever. So I don't know that I'm necessarily saying that, but it's like along those lines of someone that has just been able to convince the world that he's a genius when in fact he is not. The results have not proven that. Yeah, sure, he won Coach of the Year in 2022, absorbing a team that was just ravaged and plundered by Joe Judge and Jason Garrett and that whole squad. They really ruined the team. And so all you need is a capable coach to come in and say, oh, just let's not do all those things and let's be smarter about it. But where has that coach gone? Where did that coach go in 2024? 2024 really killed Brian Daboll in my eyes. Really did. Because 2023, it was like he's salvaging. He's bootstrapping. He's applying duct tape and glue, and he's just doing everything he can to get through the season and to win games. But when you are not able to do, that says something. When in 2025, you have everyone healthy and you're not playing as well as you did when you were it was a ragtag bunch of guys. Justin Pugh straight off the couch, and we're winning games. Like, what? To 2025, and it's like you are, again, on paper, heads and tails above where you were in 2023, and you're not able to win games. Do I even need to do a Giants versus Cowboys preview? Bobby Spence at Post Crabcore on X said Dallas is going to blow our doors off, and it's like, yeah, dude. What makes you think that we're going to have any kind of chance against this team? It's a Sunday game, September 14th at 1 o'clock at AT&T Stadium. Right now, Vegas has the Cowboys favored by 5. The over-under is 44.5. Yeah, we're just going to have so many issues with this team. We haven't beaten them in the last 5 times. Yeah, all I can say is maybe we can run the ball against this team. And maybe that has to be the game plan going forward, is like, let's just make a really concerted effort. Like, I don't think Andrew Thomas is going to be back. Even if he does come back, he'll probably re-hurt himself. So it's like, let's just figure out your best combination. Whoever your best run blockers are, throw them on the line, and let's run the ball. Run it with Tracy, run it with Scattaboo, run it with Singletary. Just run. Jet sweeps with Robinson. Maybe you get a jet sweep to Neighbors. Like, just run the ball. Run the ball. And don't abandon the run, even if you get behind by 2 scores. Once it's 3 scores, it's like, all right, I guess we got to throw now. But you got to figure out how to run the ball. I just this schedule is going to get so ugly down the stretch, so goddamn ugly. We're gonna. So yeah, I would say take the Cowboys on the spread. They're gonna win by at least a touchdown. I honestly think that the game. I would say I'll take the under, just because I don't think we're gonna score any points, and the Cowboys will put up like mid to high 20s, low 30s, and we'll get like 2 field goals again. So take the under, take the Cowboys. Yet again, we're 30th of 32 in points scored. 28th in first downs, 29th in rushing yards per attempt, 29th in yards, rushing yards. Man, our offense stinks. But I see no reason why to move on from Russell Wilson after one game. I think that's just like a knee-jerk thing. I think that's really dumb. Yeah, if you go 0-4, I guess the Saints game is really the first time that you would see Jackson Dart. But then Jackson Dart has to face the Eagles twice in 3 weeks and then gets a nice little Denver Broncos sandwich in the middle. Like that 3-week stretch. So if we don't see Jackson Dart against the Saints, why would you have his first start against the Eagles, Broncos, or Eagles? So now you are looking at week 9 against the 49ers at home, which I could see that. I could see that being a case. I think to start him at home is ideal to get the home crowd behind him. So that's what I've always, like, if things really truly off the rails. So if you're looking at maybe we pull off a win against the Saints, so now we're 1-7. So if you're 1-7 going into that November 2nd game in week 9 against the 49ers, sure. Is Andrew Thomas healthy? If yes, then yeah. If not, it's like, just throw Jameis out there. But at least if you have Dart start at home against the Niners, maybe he plays well. I don't think we get a win, but it's encouraging. Then he gets to go to the Bears, and the Bears are playing tonight, Monday Night Football against the Vikings, so we'll see how they stack up defensively. But I like that 49ers, Bears, and then the fucking Packers, dude. Oh my God, the Packers put a fucking whooping on the Lions in week 1, and they have Micah Parsons, and that defense is just elite. So you're looking at the Chiefs, who historically have had a good defense in week 3. I think a lot of people would say in years past has been better than the Commanders' defense, although the Commanders' defense appears to have taken a step up. They just kept getting praise left and right from the booth about all the additions that they made and improvements they made on defense. Chiefs are kind of at least at that same level. Cowboys kind of surprised some people in week 1, so I think they might be not as quite as good as the Commanders, but at least in the same tier. Chiefs, good defense. Chargers, like, outstanding defense. And then you have the Saints. So, yeah, we're looking at 0-4. Possibly 0-5. Possibly 0, and maybe the Patriots in week 13 is your first win. If you don't get it against the Saints, maybe we can win the bye week. What a hellacious schedule, dude. What a hellacious schedule. Like, is 5 wins going to save his job, save their jobs? I just don't see it, dude. Again, you're going to have everyone be like, and this is why I don't know that it's a fine line to walk, right? It's a balancing act because you want to listen to the fans, and John Mara definitely listens to the fans. He's well aware of what the fans think, and no one's going to love every decision. You're not going to get everyone. You're not going to please everyone with every decision you make. But I can't see how the majority of Giants fans would be upset if you let Shane and Dable go after going 5-12. And does it really all come down to Jackson Dart? And what does Jackson Dart have to do in a losing season to make you think that Dable and Shane are the guy? It's wild to think that it comes down to one player and their progress, but that essentially is it, because that's what has been the most vocal opponents to moving on from Dable and Shane have said, but they haven't had their guy. They haven't had their guy. They haven't had their guy. Now they have their guy, but it's like the whole MO going into this season was knowing that Dart's going to be essentially redshirted, although if he was the number 2 on the depth chart in week 1, and Winston was the emergency quarterback. which I did not see coming. I thought Winston would be the backup, and it would really be Dart as the emergency in the redshirt situation. But I guess the preseason changed a lot of minds, and training camp, whereas like Dart's just outperforming Winston. Hey, listen, there's a very small percentage possibility that Dart comes in and wins some games. Does he win enough games to make the playoffs? I don't see it. I don't know. But I mean, I loved watching him in the preseason, but that's against guys that are not on NFL rosters. Majority of them are not on NFL rosters. I don't think he played against a ton of starters. And if the starters are playing, they're not going full tilt. So it's, like I said, it's one thing to if you look god awful in preseason, that's never a good thing. But you also can't go the whole other way of the end of the spectrum and say like, oh, we're going to Super Bowl after putting up 30 plus points in 3 consecutive preseason games against like guys that aren't even on practice squads right now. So again, encouraging for sure. Was good to see. He got to flash his potential, and you get to see like, okay, this guy brings a level of excitement and energy. Love his accuracy. Love the way his moxie, the way he plays. I love all that. But how is that going to translate in the regular season when you're going up against the fucking Broncos and Eagles, the Packers, dude, the Lions? Ooh. So not seeing a ton of dubs, but who knows? Jackson Dart, competitor, fiery. Is he going to be the kind of guy that's just going to let this kind of fucking lackluster, boring bullshit continue? I don't think so. Giants wouldn't even let him talk to the media. One game, and we're already talking about how, Dable's not confirming or committing to Russell Wilson being the starter in week 2. It's like, already, dude? Whoa, already we're going to go down this road. Okay. This should be fun. All right. Well, that's the episode. Went way too long yet again. Coming up next, hoping to do a Mets month in review for August, which was pretty brutal. September's not much better so far. And then I still have to do biggest stories from June, July, August, the summer. I might just combine that into one episode, really trim it down to catch up. And then I wanted to do movie reviews of Superman and Fantastic Four. It's like Superman got good reviews, but I don't know it's really moving the needle as much as DC would have hoped. I don't know that's necessarily, it's definitely an improvement over what we saw from the previous iteration, but is it really putting that franchise on the trajectory that they hoped? That same feeling that we got when Deadpool was introduced to the MCU. Not quite. Anyway, that's what's in store. That's what's coming up. So thanks again for listening. Thanks for watching. And I'll catch you on the flip. Talk to you next time. Adios, muchachos.